All right. Welcome, everybody, to Activate and Thrive. And we're very excited to be launching our very first Thriving Thursday, where we interview and just chat with beautiful, health-minded people. And so just welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Our special guest today, welcome everyone, is Kathy Enking. Kathy and I met years ago because we're both dedicated to living healthy, and our travels coincided. And she's originally from this area in New England, in Maine, not Massachusetts. And then she and her husband moved out west to Arizona, and now they reside in Reno, Nevada. And Kathy's married to Patrick. He's a physician's assistant. They have 3 adult children. And early on, Kathy studied dance and performance. So we sort of have that performing artist thing together.
That's cool.
Movement therapy and mind-body connection. And that's a biggie with her. She spent several years teaching dance and art to children, but she has her Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing. But her passion for healthy foods and nutrition and nutritional therapies and functional medicine is really what connected us, because she's worked as an integrative nurse and nutritional therapy practitioner in women's health and oncology. But her latest passion, which is where our paths collided, is in the field of nutrigenomics. And this is a cutting edge science. It's a new area in the health and wellness sector. And it's really about how nutrition and our environment can affect us on a genetic level. And this is a new evolution in health. So we're just so excited to have Kathy with us today. Welcome, Kathy, and the stage is yours.
Oh, thank you so much, Mia and Don. It is just such a pleasure to be here today with you and to kick off your Thursdays to Thrive, because I'm just so honored uh, to have you ask me to join you. And, you know, I have always had a passion for health, and it started really very, very early on for me. I grew up in a big family, and and kind of like you, Mia, it wasn't always a happy, joyful time. There was, as you can imagine, a big family, lots of tension and stress and different things. And I was just always looking for a way to manage myself and to feel good. And so I discovered early on that when that that nutrition and that healthy foods actually helped me to feel better. And so I started to notice that when I ate healthy foods, I felt better than when I ate like processed junk foods, And I don't know, that was just a discovery that happened for me. And so I just gravitated towards health. And I went into dance and performing arts because, again, it was a place that I could really shine, and I loved moving my body and being in command of that. So I just, I'd always sought those things out. But later on, I was looking for a way to really help other people, and that's when I decided to go into nursing, and found quickly that that wasn't really my paradigm. I was in a field that was concentrated mostly on fixing people after they got sick. And I wanted to be the one out there helping people to just stay well and feel well all the time. And so I wanted to be more on the prevention side of things. And so that led me to later on, after my kids were grown, to study functional nutrition. And that I felt was just a much better fit for me, because what we're doing with that is we're looking at the root cause of why we get sick. And that led me to really, one of the foundations of health really is the gut. And I think that's what we were going to talk a little bit about today. And I think it was Hippocrates who said all, the root cause of health is in the gut. All illness and sickness begins in the gut. And that is true, because you guys, that is our first line of defense. That's our barrier to our health. And besides the skin is the largest organ, but the gut is like that internal barrier, and everything we breathe, everything we consume and take in, it has to go through the gut. So
It's
that's
like that gut instinct, right? You know, and we've heard that our gut is like our second brain, and that 70% of our immune system resides in our gut. And you
yes.
know how that relates to everything. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, 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 that's so true. Most of what we found, and through the through just further studies and the Human Genome Project and all of that, we have actually been able to lay out and look at, the gut and its relationship to health. And so, what I learned, early on in nutrition was that when that gut barrier becomes, basically what happens is we develop something called leaky gut, and a lot of people now have heard about that. And truthfully, probably 90%, if not more, of people in the United States have leaky gut because we are exposed on a daily basis to so many environmental toxins, and a lot of those are in our food. And in fact, one of the things that I got involved in early on was looking at foods that were genetically modified and the problems that they can cause in the gut. And what we know now is that foods that are genetically modified, and I'm sorry, my nose is chosen to be a little that's also a barrier issue. But what we have found through studying the gut is that um, these foods that are genetically modified, um, they're altered, and they also can cause damage to the gut. And a lot of these foods that are genetically modified have also been sprayed with Roundup, which is glyphosate. Glyphosate is one of the most toxic chemicals on the planet. I always try to educate people around this because that it again, it disrupts that barrier. And what happens is that when you disrupt that barrier, it's almost like you get little holes. And what happens is that the food particles can actually then go into the bloodstream, and that's what creates that allergic or that histamine response. And so, without going into too much science, that's what actually causes allergies and then leads down the road to other things. And so, it's really, really important to keep that gut healthy. That's why people are recommending probiotics and prebiotics and things like that now,
So,
because that's a just a basic fundamental. And so much of our food is damaged now, and the nutrients are gone from the soil that we're not getting those healthy microbes, you might say, that come from the soil, that come from the food, that help to feed that gut and keep it healthy.
so
Um,
Catherine,
so it
would you
gets damaged.
now
Yeah,
would you
go ahead, Don.
sorry, would you say so like in your average supermarket, so many people go to the supermarket shelves just in supermarkets that aren't selling so much organic and we know what people buy. Would you say that when you go to I don't know what to call it, the normal supermarket, so to speak, that you're probably buying a lot of foods, if you're not careful, that can contribute to this problem with the gut, and that if people would just take a moment to maybe look at the ingredients or go to the organic section and be a little bit more careful, they can actually have an impact on their gut, would you say?
Absolutely. That is a great question. And, this is something that I try to teach people too, is that the least amount of ingredients something has, the better. And if there's anything in those ingredients that you can't pronounce, you don't want to eat it, like that's, and so what I try to teach people too is just to eat real foods. Like you go and buy an apple, it doesn't have a label on it, right? Because it's an apple, So those are the kind. So we always talk about shopping on the outer aisles of the supermarket because that's usually where the produce is, and maybe then you have like your dairy around those outer portions of the aisles, and that's where you're going to find your healthier foods. Not all supermarkets carry organic, and again, if it's not organic, then our fresh foods at least have probably been sprayed with Roundup or some kind of pesticide. And you can't see that. And a lot of it doesn't wash off. But then even, in the inner aisles and things like that, again, if you're looking at labels and you're reading labels, you want to try to make sure that, like a bag of rice, right? It's a bag of rice, um, anything like that. And so when you start getting into processed foods that have a lot of chemical ingredients, dyes, and things like that, all of that, you guys, that's going to disrupt and harm the gut
But
because they're toxins. It's things that the body doesn't recognize and it doesn't know how to get rid of. And after a period of time, it builds up. If you're eating organic and healthy, 80 to 90% of the time, and once in a while you have a crappy piece of food or whatever, it's not going to be as much of a problem. I kind of tell people it's like a golf green. I don't know how many people can relate to this analogy, but you have a nice clean golf green. Think about that. And if you throw some garbage on it, like it's going to look pretty bad, right? But if you have a trash can and you throw garbage in it, it's not going to look much different. So that's kind of like your gut. If you're taking
excellent.
in a lot of like garbage all the time, you put more garbage, it's just you're piling on garbage. But if you've got that clean green, you can go in and you can clean the garbage up. Your body will do a lot better getting rid of it. So it's all about this cumulative effect and that continuing, all of those things are toxins. You got to think about them that way. And then besides what you eat, you're thinking about the things that you breathe that you can't control, or even the water that you drink. We don't know what's in our water. We can't see it. We can't see what's in the air. So you have to try to, you know, control as much of your environment as you can in terms of what you're bringing into your and that goes for the thoughts too. Even what we think can actually have an effect on our immune system. So it's
That's a significant point. And may I just hark back to one thing you said about going to the outer aisles in the
yeah,
supermarket? Because I can imagine someone saying, excuse me, I'm not going to change the supermarket I'm going to. I'm not going to start going
yeah,
to that other one. I love my supermarket. It sounds like you're saying, okay, well, you can be at your supermarket.
yes,
Just be a little bit more aware of what aisles you're in and what you're picking up. You
absolutely.
can eat healthy going to your regular supermarket. Just be more aware.
Yes, absolutely. And if you can't, it's interesting. I can actually post this below on the page, but I posted the other day on my Facebook page something called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So, and you can even look this up online. So just type in Clean 15, Dirty Dozen. So they usually give you a list of the foods that are clean and that are okay to eat, not organic, like as far as fresh foods goes. They're the least amount that are sprayed, that have toxic chemicals on them. But then there's a group of foods that you really do want to try to eat organic because they are the ones that are highly sprayed and maybe more susceptible. Like they don't have a good skin on the outside that you can peel off, something like that. And so a lot of times those pesticides, fungicides, all kinds of things can soak into the food and it's really hard to wash off.
Mm.
So, that's the thing, is that can create an awareness too, then on like, okay, that's an item that I really want to think about buying organic. And a lot of supermarkets now, though, are carrying organics, and you can get things like organic apples, you can get, organic lemons, things like that. So just check your supermarket for sure. But again, as you're going through those aisles, maybe you want to avoid the chip aisle, right? Because, or if you're somebody that loves to have a bag of chips, I always try to look at the ingredients and make sure that they're, again, as few ingredients as possible, organic if possible, none of those chemicals and dyes. And the oils, that's even another one
Oh,
too,
yeah.
is that a lot of them have used like corn oil. Corn oil is or vegetable oils. You want to kind of stay away from that. Look for, yeah,
Canola oil.
canola is another one. So corn, cottonseed, canola, those are the three C's. Those are all considered genetically modified, right? And then soy oil is another one. But the problem though too with a lot of those, the way that they're made is that those chips and things, it's always done in a high heat process, so it can damage those oils. So that's, that's why I say, like, you got to pick your poison once in a while, and a bag of chips is going to be a bag of chips. But
Right.
if you can try to choose, so a lot of companies are using coconut and avocado oil, which are definitely better oils because they can withstand those high temperatures.
Right.
Yeah, whereas a lot of the oils can get damaged with high temperatures. So that's a little side note, but
Now
like
you
I said earlier, just look at your ingredient list and try to make sure as few ingredients as possible, and then you're doing yourself a really good service.
Now you said something very enticing a moment ago about relating to our thought. That's a fascinating
Yes.
area, how the gut and brain health, or even just our thought itself relates to this.
Yeah, exactly. The what we know is that a lot of the neurotransmitters that are connected to our brain are also in our gut, right? So we know that 70% of the immune system is in the gut, but it also contains quite, like, I don't know, 70 to 80% of the neurotransmitters that transmit information to the brain reside in the gut. And so if your gut is unhealthy, that can definitely affect your mental health.
Mhm.
And that was the thing that I noticed when I was a child too. I suffered with a lot of low mood and depression. And I didn't know this, but that's why when I started eating healthier foods, I felt better. I didn't feel as depressed. Exercise always helps too. But and that's why I got into movement, Mia, because that was just like, a beautiful marriage of all of them. But yeah, definitely if you've got depression, things going on, and that's actually what led me to study nutritional therapy, because I had been dealing with depression for so long. And then when I learned that these neurotransmitters are located in the gut and that has a definite effect on the brain, I wanted to learn more. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I went to nutrition and learned all about how much um, our mental health has to do with essentially what we eat. Very simply.
Absolutely. And it can help us feel sluggish. So many people care about, especially at the start of a new year, they're like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and I'm going to lose weight and all that kind of stuff. But even that, to stay consistent with that and have the gut be balanced, it matters how consistent you're going to be with it, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
even our weight management is affected by the health of our gut and our
Yeah.
gut flora.
Exactly. Yes. And that brings up another good point too, is that when we're taking in a lot of different kinds of toxic foods, it can affect so much of our organ functioning, and it can be a barrier to weight loss. And we're seeing obesity it's no joke that we are one of the fattest nations right now. And a lot of it has to do, it's not that people are eating too much or not exercising. Yeah, there is some of that, but it really has to do with the quality of the food. And when you're eating all those toxins, the digestive organs get backed up, especially the liver can become very toxic, and that can be a deterrent to being able to lose weight. And so people often they'll start on these, like, I would suggest not starting on a detox program, because oftentimes what happens is you have this rebound effect. What I would just recommend for people that want to start losing weight, just start cleaning the toxins out of your diet. Just start eating real food,
Mhm.
and and that will start your weight loss journey. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I just try, because you want to start to eat healthy, and then once you start incorporating those healthy habits, and then maybe adding in some movement of some sort, some good information to feed your brain, right? And that can be it might be a slower way. You're not going to lose weight all at once, but you're going to develop healthy habits. You're going to be more likely to keep that weight off and have it be a gradual thing. It just really is about developing those daily habits. But, but we've talked about a lot of things. We've right now, immunity is hugely on people's minds because of what we've got going on in our world today. And people want answers. They want to know, do they need to, you know, get a COVID vaccine, or do they not? How, are they going to be protected? So, those are the kinds of things that I think you and I have found answers for, and we found ways that we can actually protect our immunity, so that we are relying more on our bodies that are keeping us healthy, and that we're fit and we're strong. And again, it all comes back to what we decide to eat. And I feel really, really strongly about that.
Yes,
And
and
I'm
creating
sticking to it.
yes, and creating an environment that, that's not attracted to that
Right.
issue.
Exactly. And an environment that we can thrive in, really,
Yeah,
because we want to, we're really into wanting to continue to age healthily. It's one thing to live a long life, but if you don't have your health, you know,
exactly.
I don't really want to stay alive if I'm not feeling healthy and good, right?
Yeah,
So we want to
exactly.
live a long life. We want to live it healthy as possible. And I just wish it wasn't so hard in our day and age to stay healthy. But you do have to put concerted effort into it for
You
sure.
do, because there
Right.
are so many factors that are playing against us, as we
Yes.
said, the insecticides, the foods we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, exercise, all of it. We want to exercise, but still, all of that causes our bodies to have to work hard,
Yes.
so we want to make sure that if they're working hard, to keep us, active and thriving, that we're also putting in them what they need so that they can give us a good return.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I think your page really just too is going to be about helping to support people on that journey
Yes,
of, and just getting tips and pieces of information that they can use to help support
That's
them. And
that's
um,
really what we're wanting to do. This
yeah,
is
I love that. It's a beautiful mission.
this has just
thank
been
you.
so very informative, and I hope people are seeing what they can take away about just being thoughtful about what you eat and how our gut really can be benefited, and therefore our overall health, by the choices that we make each day. So Kathy,
Yes,
thank you so much for joining us
yes,
for our very first Thriving Thursday. It's been such a delight to learn from you. Thank you
thank
Yeah,
you
so
it's
so
much.
such a
much.
pleasure being with you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're
Yes.
really grateful, and we'll see you again. We'll have you
Okay,
back.
that
All
sounds
right.
good. All right, have a
Thank
joyful
Thank
you,
you
day.
very,
Fred.
very much. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye,
Thanks for
everyone.
joining us.
Thank you.